So guys, let's start today on behalf of 6th anniversary of Mountaineering Guidance, which was started in 2015. So I'm very happy to share the story how this blog was started, the purpose behind starting the blog, and we'll do some myth busting about the blog and some final words before we leave. So starting with my introduction, hi all, I'm Shashank Shah from Mumbai, and I have done my basic, advanced, and the instructor level course from Wabbimas Manali in 2014 and 15. And I'm associated in the field of trekking and mountaineering since 2009, and till date, it's going very great. And one thing that is unique about my way of doing mountaineering is I do it on a Jain food diet. All my mountaineering expeditions or the trekkings or the treks that I go. So just a brief idea, Jain food uh, has food items like onion, potato, carrot, garlic, and all root vegetables. You avoid eating them, and it's one of the most difficult things to do in the mountain when you are in such a rough terrain, harsh weathers, and you have to sustain with that energy level. And till date, I haven't faced any problems, be it any trek or expeditions that I've been to, and that has given me more and more motivation to pursue mountaineering with this diet and try to achieve newer heights or go beyond my comfort zone and keep on developing and growing in this field. So this was a short introduction about me, and I am the founder of Mountaineering Guidance, which is a blog that gives information related to mountaineering courses that is conducted across various institutes in India. And today I'll be sharing the story, how it started, how the idea came up, and the purpose for it. And we'll go I'll share this journey along with some visual representations also, so that it becomes easier for you to see what I'm trying to explain and what all places I have been through while I was doing my course, and how the ideation started and the developing of the blog happened. So let's start. So this is Atal Bihari Vajpayee Institute of Mountaineering and Allied Sports, Manali, and this is the main headquarters building over here. And behind there are hostels for the trainees over who come for the courses. Here behind the institute, there is a road to Hamta Pass, and there is also the rock climbing wall where the rock craft training happens. So I'll start with my journey. So in 2009, I happened to register for a trek called Rupkund and Bedni Bugyal, and this is the photo at Bedni Bugyal. So this was my first trek, and this is one of the most difficult trek for a first timer, but I still completed the trek, like reached Bedni Bugyal from the base camp in 2 days, and our aim was to reach Rupkund within the next 2 days. And this is the photo when we are going towards Bagwa Basa, a campsite just below Rupkund. And due to bad weather, as you can see in the background, we had to return back from Bagwa Basa, and then it started raining and there was snowfall, and we somehow managed to escape that and reach the campsite in a very harsh weather. And this trek is the seed for my interest developing into the field of mountaineering, and I came to know that this is the call of my life. The mountains and mountaineering is the call of my life, and no matter what, I have to pursue this field by hook or by crook. And then it started, like treks after treks in the Sayadris, going to Himalayas. And in 2011, I went to this most beautiful trek I have ever been in my life, a place called Harkirun in Uttarakhand. And this is the place opposite the Swarga Rohini mountain, or you can say the Bandar Pooch glacier, where we, after struggling a lot, finding a way where we had lost our guide and had a distance of almost half an hour between us, but we still somehow navigated our way, found our way through rocks and grasses and everything, and finally reached this beautiful place where there was almost a 300-400 feet long snow patch, and there's a waterfall going beneath that snow patch, and then we are sliding from this point right to the bottom of the snow patch, again climbing, again sliding down, again climbing, again sliding down. And yeah, this place actually added more boost to my journey, and it was one of the most beautiful trek I've ever been to. Coming to 2012, one more extraordinary place in the Uttarakhand and on the Indo-Nepal border is this place called Panchchuli Peaks, which is a massive of five peaks together. And here I am right at the end of the glacier, like where I'm standing, and behind there is a huge gorge and there's a fall inside the glacier. And luckily, I managed to reach here, the first among a group of 40, and we were just enjoying the beautiful morning, no clouds, nothing, and that feeling was just excellent. As you can see, there's a deep gorge over here. You can see snow mountains all around, snow and snow, just snow, and rainbows all over, covering whatever waterfalls are visible in your eyesight, in your eye range. You can just see rainbow after rainbow over there. And yeah, this was one of the most extraordinary trek, and it was in this trek when I was climbing this glacier along with my guide, where he taught me the technique of front pointing, like piercing your toes of the shoes into the snow and then climbing the steep slopes. And then I had a good conversation with him, and he said that there are institutes in India where you can train for mountaineering and such climbing techniques. And if you are interested in this field, then you should go and enroll for such courses. And he told me that there is an institute in Uttar Kashi by the name Nehru Institute of Mountaineering, and the guide had done all of his courses from there. And this was the thing that I needed at that time, that how do I learn these techniques, and the guide told me the way, and that's it. And then my research started, that which all institutes are there in India, and what all courses are there, what is the preparation required. And then I met my friend who is also one of the most budding mountaineers, a promising mountaineer, and also a recent Tenzing Norgay award recipient, Keval Kakka, and he was registering for his basic mountaineering course in 2013. And I then approached him, had a talk with him, got some guidance, and he told me that this is how you should register for the course, and this is what is needed and what all practices are needed before going for the courses. And along with him, even I filled the form. So he registered for the July batch, I registered for the September batch in 2013. So, and yeah, this is when it started, when I registered for my 2013 basic mountaineering course. And I was a bit ill prepared for that course because I had got my confirmation just a month before the commencement of the course. So I hadn't put in that much efforts in developing myself physically and mentally. But still, when I had the background of so many treks done in the Sahyadris and the three long treks that I had done in Uttarakhand, I knew what all are the things that might be needed basically uh, when you are going for a course. So with just that little minimum amount of knowledge that I had, I just enrolled for the course and I went there, and not knowing what all is needed for the course and what all things will be provided by the institute, I landed up into this mess where I'm carrying almost 25 kgs of both the bags, and I had no idea what how much is necessary, what all things I have to carry. just with the fear in that mind that once I leave the institute and when once I'm in the mountains, then I shouldn't be in shortage of any spare clothing or socks or be it gloves or be it rain jackets or sweaters, thermals, anything, and I just carried everything in a double amount just for backup. And this is what I landed up in, where I was carrying more than what I should have carried and struggling all my way through a 3 day trek to reach the base camp. From the institute to the base camp was a very difficult task, and there was kind of mental satisfactory when I reached the base camp that now we have to stay here for 10 11 days, so no need, you don't have to carry that excess luggage and anything. But still, this is not a very good practice a mountaineer should have. And then as the course progressed, things happened, and this is the day of the height gain activity, when once all your training is done, and this is on the 21st day of the course, where you have to climb almost 5,000, 6,000 feet within a limited amount of time. And this is the place called the Shitidhar Summit Camp, which is almost at the height of 15,700 feet in the Pir Panjal range of Himachal Pradesh. And I managed to reach and successfully achieve this height. And these are my batchmates along with whom I'm celebrating that feeling of reaching the top. But yeah, after coming back to Mumbai and back into the routine, the next course which I was looking forward was advanced course, and now that course was supposed to be happening in June 2014 and July 2014. So I had almost 7 to 8 months in my hand, and it so happened that during our batch the certificates came very late. So we got to know our grades somewhere in January, and to my dissatisfaction, the grade that I got was B. Now, getting a B grade, you just cannot enroll for the advanced mountaineering course. So I made up my mind that no matter whatever happens, I have to complete all the three courses. And again, I went for the application of basic mountaineering course in June 2014. And then I made up my mind that if I secure an A grade, I'll go and talk with the director of the institute and tell him that traveling from city back to the mountains is not feasible monetary also and time wise also. So if possible, then give me a seat in the advanced course if I get a A grade in the basic course. To which he agreed, and that was the best part that happened to me. I had gone with all the preparation that no matter what, I have to get an A grade in both the courses, and I'll stay here for almost 2 months back to back and do the rigorous training that happens. And since I had the entire background of the basic course that had happened in September, I knew what will happen in the basic course, so I was very well prepared. And uh, yes, in June I went for the basic course, and luckily my friend Keval again, he had secured an A grade and he had enrolled for the advanced course in the July batch. So he told me that if you get an A grade in the basic course, then we'll do the advanced course together. And this is how the course went about. So this is the base camp, Bakar Thach, of the Abhimas Institute, which is at an elevation of around 10,800 feet. And the river that is going over here uh, ahead of the base camp is River Bias. So this base camp is very near to the source of River Bias, also known as Bias Kund. And this is the aerial view of Bakartach camp from when we were returning back from our ice craft training. It's a very beautiful campsite. You have a volleyball ground and you have vast lands of pastures where you can see sheep and other animals grazing over here. And the basic course went very smoothly. Again, this is the photograph of our 21st day of the basic course or the height gain activity, and I'm celebrating with my friends on atop that mountain, again reaching that elevation. And yeah, this was one of the best moments of my life. And again, returning back, uh, giving the written and oral test, and you have various other things that happen during the last days of the course. And then the last day, the passing out parade ceremony happened, and I directly ran to the director and asked him that, sir, can you please tell me my grade so that if I have an A grade, I'll go and pay the fees and fill the form itself tomorrow itself. And within a day, the advanced course was about to begin. And luckily, I had received A grade, and that was a big relief moment for me. Now I had to look forward for the advanced course, which is almost 60% rigorous than the basic course. And the advanced course started, and luckily one of my friend, means two of my friends from the September basic course had also enrolled for the July advanced mountaineering course. Now having friends on the mountains who share the same mentality is one of the biggest relief point you can have in your mountains. And I had with me my friend Keval, my friend Nuwazish and Mansi. And obviously, when you are staying in a dormitory, you easily make friends over the period of time. And it so happened that Keval's friend from his July basic course had also registered for the advanced course. So it became quite easy for all of us to, gel up and become very free with each other, communicate and share that very good bonding with each other. And that was one of the biggest relief moment you can never have in the mountains. So you are now almost like 9 to 10 people who know each other very well, who are supporting each other very well, and the course advances. And this is a photo of an acclimatization activity that happens above the Solang Valley towards a peak called Patalsu. And there in the background where you can see snow over here is the Biaskund Valley, or this is where is the base camp of the mountaineering training course. And now is the main part where the ideation of the course started. So July month and August and September are the 3 months where uh, it rains very heavily in Himachal Pradesh. And we had this idea that in our advanced course we have to navigate ourselves mentally through the cold weather and the rainy days, and the training will go on no matter what. So yeah, here we are reaching the new campsite. So the basic course students or the trainees had stayed back in Bakarthach, and the advanced course trainees were asked to go to a campsite which is above Bakarthach known as Boj Pathar. So here we are, just a few moments before reaching our advanced base camp or the base camp for our course right now. And as you can see, with the knowledge that I had gained from the previous basic mountaineering course, I, even though I had two bags, but I had packed it very smartly, not carrying any additional luggages, not carrying any additional clothes or anything extra, just the required things, no matter what, be the weather or if they get wet. I had made up my mind that I have to continue and run through the course with the limited amount of resources that I have. So here we are reaching the base camp at Boj Pathar, and almost everybody had occupied the flat lands, and we had the last flat land over here where we could just occupy 85% of the base area of the tent. So the 15% was actually hanging in the sky, and somehow we managed to uh, build a tent, making some hats over here and there, tying it to the stone, passing the rope over here and there, tying it and making it very stable. And after we showed it to our instructor, he said that you have one of the best tents built among all the other trainees, and we were very happy about it. And yes, these are my tent mates. Here in red is Sergeant Tikare, here is Nuwazish, he's Keval Kakka, he's Rugved Lele. So this was the view of the campsite, or at least the view from our tent. And now you can see how irregular the tent is. Like something is going up, something is going down, and somehow we had managed to build this tent. And being a July month, as you can see, this is a view of the Boj Pattar camp, uh, the instructors camp, the kitchen tent, the other tents of the trainees. And here you can see dense clouds. Like for almost a week, we knew that this is how the weather is going to be. Like it's going to be dull, dark throughout the day, cloudy, windy, cold, and hardly you'll get to see any sunlight. And being an advanced course, you have to follow the instructions of your instructors. There's no backing out. And here is a beautiful aerial view of both the campsites, how far they are from each other and how they look when you look from the top. So this is Boj Patthar over here, which is almost 45 minutes away from Bakar Thal. Here it might seem it's very close, but it's almost a 45-minute trek downhill. Uphill it's almost 50 minutes to 1 hour. And now I'll show you a rough picture like what exactly happened. So this is the first day of our snowcraft training of the advanced course, and here you can see dense cloud fog right above our training area, and this was going to be the weather throughout. And here we are training. There's no hardly any sunlight. As you can see in the second picture also, the trainees are also hardly visible over here, and since the visibility was getting low, so we are abandoning our training right away and getting down uh, to pack our bags and return back to the base camp. Then here is also an amazing photo of the icecraft training, which happened 2 days after our snowcraft got over. And when you are near the ice wall, and this ice wall is exactly in the Biasund glacier, so you are training in the glacier, and it's very tough in such cold weather. Here you can see the view. This is a view of the entire glacier, how we are training. There's a glacial lake over here, uh, clouds all around. You just cannot see the mountains behind this glacier. And here we are training in this cold weather, uh, and the glacier is melting constantly. The ropes are getting wet, and when you are belaying and when your partner is climbing, the belayer has to stay active, because if he stays inactive, the cold will catch him, and then becomes very difficult to train. Your hands are not moving, like you are frozen, and even here you can see that it's very dense, and the instructors had given us a warning that it might rain the next day, but still be prepared that you have to train in the rains. But the instructors had anticipated that it will be kind of very drizzling kind of rain, so it's not a big problem. But there was something else that was about to happen. Now, this is an evening before the ideation began. So this was the weather that had happened. Clouds are coming up into the valley. Clouds all around the valleys in the Kulu region, the Spiti region. Pitch dark. It's becoming pitch dark over here, and there was something very fishy. The reports that the instructors had got and the weather that was turning up was way different. This was just moments before that night was about to happen. Here we are enjoying in our tents after having a dinner, and just when we went to sleep, and rains began. It was the heaviest rain I've ever encountered in the mountains. Heavy, too heavy, and these are all canvas tents. And even a tent was one of the most, not placed properly, and throughout the night it is raining, and the volume of the rain was constant throughout the night, and we heard almost 4 to 5 cloudbursts, and we were a bit scared about cloudbursts because Our instructors had shared some past experiences with us, that how they had their campsites got vanished or washed away in such cloudburst, and how they survived just on floor and water. All the ration also got damaged, the tents are damaged, and how they survived, how they got rescued, and everyone on in the campsite is very apprehensive what will happen the next moment. And throughout the night, the canvas had reached its saturation point of holding onto the water, and water started dripping into our tents. Now we are worried about our mattresses, our sleeping bags, our training bags, our clothes, everything, because water is entering from all the sides, and it is raining, and it rained. Morning came, breakfast time passed away. It's still raining so heavily, and the instructors declared that we cancel the training today because it's going to be very risky. And at around 10 or 11 a.m., the rain stopped. Like it went into drizzling, and not that heavy rains. And here we are, the five people in our tent sitting, and we were just discussing our previous experiences and sharing our stories. And this is when Novazish came up that it's so difficult that we do not know what we have to carry, what all things we have to carry, because the list is not updated on the main website, and what equipments the institute is about to provide to us, what all we have to carry. And we'll end up carrying extra or lesser. And when these situations arise, when it's raining and you have to rely on your backups, so and also you have to keep your bag a little light, but you have to carry all the necessary equipments also. And all this discussion was going on. And then he said how difficult he faced while traveling from his hometown to Manali. Like you have to do a lot of research on the mode of transportation, where exactly you have to get down, from where you have to catch the bus, which bus, where will your bus drop you from your drop point, how far is the institute, and a lot of questions. And his frustration came out in the form of that discussion. And then we are discussing that why not do something, or why not develop something or some information or something that helps the trainees or a future budding training from our experiences, that these all things are needed, these all things will be provided by the institute, these all things have to be taken into consideration, and the preventive measures and this that everything. And then we started discussing that let's develop something, a website or a web platform or anything of that sort, and let's start spreading it to people, and make them aware of those things. And this is when this idea struck me, because me being from an IT background, and having experiences in building website, I took up this initiative that once I return back to Bombay, I'll go and start developing this website. And let's all contribute and share our part of experiences and the information that we have, and let's develop this thing and spread it to as many people as possible. And then this was the morning after the rain stopped, and this is how the discussion started. We are discussing. Ideas after ideas are coming out, and then we made up this mind that once we return back to Bombay uh, or our hometown, we'll get in touch with each other, and then we'll start developing the website or anything in a form of an information, and share it to people across. And now I'm just sharing a few gist of our advanced mountaineering course. So here I am with my best friend Keval Kapka, who is a Tenzing Norgay Adventure Award recipient, and he's also a record holder of climbing to 8,000 meters peak within a span of 6 days. And it's your very good luck that you are among such people who inspire you, who push you beyond your limits, and who are also very passionate about bringing out or making you the best version of yourself. And this is the evening after the rains had stopped. Everything is lush green. There's fresh snowfall that has just happened. All the mountains are covered back in snow. Okay, and this is the Friendship Peak that you have to climb during your advanced course as a part of your height gain activity, without which, if you do not climb, you are not eligible for securing an A grade, or you have not qualified that minimum altitude of completing the course. And this is how, fresh large chunk of snow on the summit and on the glacier and everywhere. This is what was the scenario. And then again, the clouds are coming up as the sun has come, and after almost a span of 6 or 7 days into the mountains, here we see uh, sunlight after almost 6 to 7 days after we are in the base camp, and it was such a relief. But again, seeing the mountains, we were a bit scared that it shouldn't rain again, as we had faced one of the baddest rains during our course. And this is one of the most extraordinary view I've ever witnessed during my training. And this is just 10-15 minutes before our theoretical session, which was about to happen. And these clouds are just stuck over here, just stuck, like they are not even moving up, not even moving down, and they are just stuck over here. It feels as if you are above the clouds, or this view is just inexpressible, very inexpressible. And these are the gifts, these are the precious moments that you get to witness in the mountains. And again, continuing into the icecraft training. So as I was telling, we had faced days, even after the rain stopped, the weather was still as bad as possible. Hardly there's any sunlight. It's just cloudy, cloudy, cloudy all over. As I'm saying that, the ropes get wet very easily because the glacier, the ice is melting, and they drip down the rope. And here I'm belaying, and my gloves are wet. I'm shivering because of the cold winds that is passing around. And you have to remain active or keep your body warm. Otherwise, it's very difficult to survive. But these were the conditions, and these are the hardships that you have to go through during the courses. And here is a photo of me on the summit of Mount Friendship Peak, the first ever summit of my life, or climbing a mountain in my life, and one of the most memorable moment of my life, and a proud moment for me and my family also. And this is the view after returning back from the expedition. This is the next morning, where now the weather has cleared entirely. Those days of rains and the fog, cold winds, everything is gone. Very bright, very warm. And this is the weather that we were just waiting for. Here you can see the amount of clothes and the equipments and the gears a mountaineer has to carry when he is in the mountains. Just one rucksack, and everything he has to carry. Everything. Like you can see sleeping bags, you can see our clothes, our trekking pants, socks, shoes, gloves, our food items, dishes, water bottles, climbing shoes, normal shoes, everything, gaiters, everything we have kept here for drying up. And this is what the life of a mountaineer is: 25 to 30 kgs in one single rucksack. And yes, this are also the treasures and the gifts and the rewards of being in the mountain. This was the last day on the mountain, and from here we are returning back to the institute. Our entire training of snow and ice is over. Our tests have been done. We have climbed the mountain. The rains have gone. Our survival night has happened, and this is just the first minutes of the sunrise you witness. Memorable, and breakfast time, and you are returning back to the institute. Your training is over, and I am breathing a sigh of relief that I have completed both the courses back to back, rigorous courses, and that too in rigorous and harsh weather conditions. and that was the most, and this is the most memorable moment of my life, which has given me that confidence that I can do, or I have that capacity to stretch myself far, far, far beyond my comfort zone. And just this is the last moment before we are leaving uh, for our institute. We have had a breakfast. We just have to carry our rucksacks and go back. And this is a moment after the passing out parade ceremony has happened. We have got our badges and we are celebrating the completion of two courses. I'm very happy with that. And one of the biggest achievement for me was staying for 60 days, almost 60 days in the mountains, going through such rigorous and so many challenges, and I emerged out successfully, happily. Uh, that satisfaction level was something that I just cannot imagine that I could have ever done in my life. But yes, it has happened, done, and over. And yes, one more prized moments of my life is the certificates that I get back to back. A grade in the basic course, definitely. That's why I landed up in the advanced course, and also securing A grade in the advanced mountaineering course. And yes, I had done what I had to do, and now my gate to pursue the mountaineering course or the instructor course was open. And immediately after I got my certificate, I enrolled for the instructor course in the October batch 2015. And this is a beautiful trophy that has been presented to me by the uh, trekking association that I am a part of, and I have been trekking. Or these are the people who have initiated my journey right from Bedni Bugyal till completing the advanced mountaineering course. And so now I've done with the the story of the origin of the blog, how it started with Nuaz sharing his plight and all the frustration that he had uh, about lack of information and everything has just become very difficult. And now I'm in Bombay. I had this thing in mind that I've taken up this thing. I have to build a platform where I have to provide information to the budding mountaineers. And immediately I got into my research work. I started contacting all my friends from my basic course and my advanced course that I need photographs. Whatever photographs you all have taken, send it to me either via post. If you are in Bombay, let's catch up and exchange the data and the images, whatever we have. And I shared the idea that this is how I am going to develop the blog, and I'll be needing your photographs. And then in August, I registered this domain called mountaineeringguidance.com, and I opened an account on a blogging platform where I can systematically put in the information and the images. And I started writing a rough skeleton of what all things I have to give into the blog. And it took me around 2 months, 3 months to get with the basic skeleton and the structure of the website. And then I started writing, means I first started programming the blog, and then I started writing the content over here. And now I'll go to the purpose of the blog. Like, what was the purpose of the blog? The purpose of the blog was to give adequate and substantial amount of information to anyone who wants to pursue mountaineering courses across any institute, be it Jawahar Institute or Avimas or NIM or Himalayan Mountaineering Institute or NIMAS in Arunachal Pradesh. That this is a basic structure across all the institutes, and this is the syllabus that will, be conducted in all of these institutes. The only differences will be the campus, the instructors, the training grounds, and the equipment that they provide, and food and everything. But rest, it's all the same. The techniques, the theoretical part, everything is very same or similar. And then with my experiences of all the courses I had done, I started writing my first hand experience in the form of a third person, and I started writing the content and in detail, like, you know, you can say an hourly basis information of, on day one this will happen, on day two this will happen, on day three your rock craft will start, and day four, day five, and for 10 days you are, into rock craft training. Then you have the rock craft test. Then you pack your bags and go to the high mountains for 3 days. You are, trekking till the base camp. For the next 14 days, your base camp is your home, where you are going to do snowcraft training, your icecraft training, your survival night, your height gain activity, and your other theoretical lectures and many more skills that are needed when you are in the mountains, in the high altitudes. Everything I am writing down, writing down, writing down. Now that took me somewhere around 4 to 5 months of writing, because every day, like, I started writing the content in January of 2015, and every day I used to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, just for those people who shouldn't struggle when they are going for their courses, and I'm writing content from them, making corrections, and it took me almost 4 months. So somewhere in April, I completed writing all the content. So how I had divided the content was a basic mountaineering course, the content of the entire basic mountaineering course, then the advanced course content, then the method of instructor course. Though I had not been there, but I have a lot of friends who had done MOI courses. So taking their experiences and their images and their photographs, I built a content around it, and then I made a content over them. And then came the best part, or the most required information, is the traveling part, the equipments that you have to carry, and the equipments or the facilities that the institute will provide. That was the that is the foremost and the important information I felt that everybody should have access to. And then, I'm clicking photographs of what personal equipments you have to take when you are leaving for the institute, and then I'm making photographs of all the equipments that the institute will provide to the trainees. And then I built content around it, and then I also built a travel guide, how you should land up at the institute. So as you can see here over in the slider, so this is a basic information of what is mountaineering, then the basic course, the advanced course, method of instructor, equipments and the facilities and the things that the institute will provide you once you are at the institute, so that you don't have to carry anything additional. Then the travel guides from your hometown, which is the nearest town to Manali. So the information that I've provided on the blog is currently related to Abhima specific, because I have completed all my three courses from Abhima, so I have no idea about the other institutes. So I have written the content based on that, like how to reach the institute from your hometown, and Delhi and Chandigarh being the nearest major cities, and from there also how you can reach via airways or trains or buses, and from Delhi to Manali, what are the modes of transport, like the Volvo buses or the government buses run by Himachal government. And once you land up in Manali, how do you have to reach the institute? How far is the institute? What are the modes of transport that will take you to the institute? Everything, all the details is given over there. Then how you should prepare yourself for these courses, like physical preparation as well as the mental preparation, and all the physical training that I had gone through before commencing the course, is I have put in my experiences, which have proved very beneficial and fruitful for me, and planned it or put the content in a very systematical manner. Then your personal preparations, where what all things you have to carry apart from the things that will be provided by the institute, like your thermals, your trekking pants, how many you need them, 2 pairs, 3 pairs. Do you need cotton clothing, or do you need synthetic or water resistant clothes? gloves. Then we had found a hack of protecting your gloves from getting wet is to get those uh, industrial level rubber gloves or the medical gloves, which are easily available in any medical stores, and just wear them over your gloves. So those being rubber, made out of rubber or plastic, they repel the water, so there's no chance of water entering inside the rubber gloves and making your inner gloves wet. So in that ways you can stay warm and dry, and these all hacks are also provided in these articles. And yeah, so from my experience I built that content, what all things you need to carry in terms of you can say food also, like energy bars or dry fruits, or anything, energy drinks or electrol, glucon d, whatever, kind of those things. Then sunglasses, the cosmetic parts like the sunscreen, or you know toiletries, medications, and everything, that the basic kit that you need in the mountains. And also your trekking shoes, your running shoes, your rock climbing shoes, everything that you have to carry, and every minute detail has been provided in these articles. And then I had shared a very beautiful article on what it's being there in the mountains for 60 days, making friends, being in the in that scenic environment, and the rewards you get of the formations and the sights and everything in the mountains, the friends you make, the things you learn, because people all across India and even foreign nationals are coming for the courses, and you get to learn a lot, you make lifelong friends. And mountaineering courses teach you a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. And this is how I started developing the content. Then I've also written an article on simple travel guide in and around Manali, what all things you can do in Manali and around Manali, like uh, best places of visit like Dharamshala, Solang Valley, biking trips in and around Manali, then Nagar, Kulu, everything, every detail that I could find on the internet, and share it over here. And then here comes the purpose, that the plight that even I had faced when I registered for my September batch, because I had experience of the three Himalayan treks, so I knew that these are things are needed or you need to carry. But when you are going for mountaineering courses, your equipments and your clothings and everything's change a lot. And when I went for the September course, I realized, oh my god, these all things will be provided by the institute, and these all things I have carried. So, are they sufficient enough? And as you had seen that image, that I had carried a very overloaded bag with me, and which I realized when I was again back to the basic and advanced course, where I had cut off most of the things and had taken just the required things so that the bag doesn't become heavy. And this is the purpose of the blog, that to provide the best and the accurate and to the point information, so that anybody is going for the course has a complete checklist before him, that these are all the things that I need and I do not need anything beyond it. And over the years, over the past 6 years, a lot of people have contacted me, and even after the blog was developed, I was very much active on a platform called Quora, where I'm answering questions on mountaineering from my recent experience from the mountaineering courses, to the extent that I've become one of the top content writer in the field of mountaineering. Means my answers were so pleading and convincing that people frequently contacted me and asked for guidance and asked for uh, my personal experiences, and a lot of people have benefited from that. I've also seen people calling me after completing the course, and they said that whatever information you have given on the website and whatever information you have shared with us personally is the way the course has happened. And we were so free mentally that we didn't have to take any tension, or we were just relaxed. We knew that these all things are going to happen, and we were mentally prepared for these things. And now we just had to go through those 26 days or 28 days or 30 days of the course, and focus on the training. That's it. We have everything with us. We do not have to worry, and that's the main purpose with which got solved. And I'm very happy to have helped a lot of people during the span of 6 years, and it has helped me also to see where I have lacked in my information or anything of that sort, and I have time and again updated the content and everything, and yeah. But with this, there are a lot of myths that I want to bust about the blog in a very short time. Uh, a lot of people recently during the lockdown, because their courses got cancelled, and the institute had, cancelled all their courses. So everybody was apprehensive that when they will get their next batches, or when they can resume with their training or anything, or and with whatever manner they landed across these website and across mountaineering guidance blog, and they contacted a lot of people have contacted me frequently and telling me that, so when will the courses start, and what is the admission process, and how do we have to go about it, and what are your dates, how do we have to travel and everything. And I realized the same common plight of 90% of the people who had called me. And then I decided that these myths need to be busted. So myth one, that mountaineering guidance blog is a information blog which provides information on the activities that happen during a mountaineering course in all the institutes across India. And this is, we are not any agency, or we are not any institute that conduct courses, or we are affiliated with any institutes where we will help you get your admission done with that institute. No, this is just an informative blog where you can go through. If you have any doubts or any confusion in your mind, you can read through all the articles, get them clarified, be prepared with the content that is given on the blog, and just go for the course without any tension on your mind. And we are not associated with any institute, not affiliated with them. We do not provide any admissions, nor do we conduct any courses. Myth 2 is that, on a similar line, is that please, this is the information for Abvimas and not for the other institutes, but somehow everything is similar. So a lot of people have contacted me telling me, please share us information about HMI, about NIMAS, about NIM. I'm telling them that I do not have that information. All I can say is that the training structure or the training syllabus, theoretical part, everything is more or less the same. The only thing that changes is the facilities, the campus, instructors, equipments, food, the training grounds where you will be training, and the duration of the course. So Abhimas, the institute, and the base camp is very close by. So the duration of the courses in Abhimas is less compared to NIM and HMI and NIMAS, because they happen over a duration of 28 to 30 days, whereas in Abhimas it happens in 26 or 28 days. So go through the content and make up your mind that this is what will happen. It's not going to happen exactly, but at least you'll get an idea that these all things will happen during the course. And when the scenario changes, you just have to go with the flow over there, and not blame the blog that in the blog it was written this and this has not happened. Things do change because there are a lot of factors, other factors also affecting, like it affected our training during the advanced course, as I shared in the story, that how it was raining and our training got cancelled, and because of that luck this blog came into existence. But there are a lot of other factors that happen over there during recent times, when the state started uplifting their lockdown rules and the courses started commencing. Even when students have done their RT-PCR test or any other test that were required by the institute, when they are into the course and suddenly the trainees started developing fever, and again they were tested and found out that they are corona positive, and all the courses had to be abandoned that very moment. So a lot of factors can affect the way the course will run. The same thing had happened when I had registered, when I was doing my MOI, because during the first 10 days when we are supposed to do rock craft, we got a weather report that in the latter part of the month, when you will be doing your snow craft and ice craft, the weather is going to be very bad. So please go to the advance, means to the base camp, get done with your snow and ice craft training, then return back and continue with the rock craft activities. So this is how our the MOI batch in which I was registered happened. So you have to adjust at that very moment with the situations, the external factors, and everything, and go with the flow. So yeah, these were some of the myths that I wanted to bust. And finally, before ending the session, some few words before I end this session is, firstly, I'd like to thank all the people who are involved with this, involved in the sense that without the photographs or the experiences that my friends have shared, developing this blog was just not possible, because without their photographs or giving any visual representation, it becomes very tough to imagine what exactly will be there in the mountains, and what to expect, what not to expect. And that's why, as you can go, as I'm making you browse through the articles on the blog, you can see a visual representation of what happened in the course. Sorry for the technical glitch, guys. I don't know what exactly happened and why the live streaming got disconnected. But yeah, I'm thankful to all my friends who have shared their photographs, and they have really helped me a lot with the images that they have shared and that they have clicked during the course of the training, and clicking some of the best photographs while we are training of everything, the surroundings, the institute, when we are training. A lot of videos have also been recorded about the various techniques like knots, how to build a rope stretcher, and likewise. Also, it's my humble request. The main purpose of this blog was to provide information about all the institutes, but me being a single-handed handling this thing, it was not possible to do everything on my own. But still, I had written an article on the submission guidelines that those who are interested and have completed their courses from any other institutes should give the information, that they have gone through during the training, share the photographs. And so you can visit the website, and there's this article called submission guidelines, and you can go through it. And please, if you are from any other institute like the Neri Institute of Mountaineering or the Himalayan Institute, Darjeeling, Nimas from Dirang, Jawar Institute, or any other institute like Knowles, please go through that article and provide your first-hand experiences, or contact with your batchmates or your alumni, or from the trainees who have done courses after your batches, and collect information. Please build content and images around it and share it with us, so that we can put all these data on the blog and help the budding mountaineers or the coming future mountaineers who want to genuinely pursue mountaineering courses with ease and without any fear, and they know that they have some reliable source of information before them, where they can go through and get a very basic idea and in-depth idea of what happens during the course, so that they are not ill prepared, or they go well prepared during the course, be it physical, mental, be it the personal equipments or anything. So it's my humble request that do provide the information that you have, no matter how long it takes. But if you're interested, then message us and we can get in touch with each other, communicate, coordinate, and let's take this thing ahead. And yeah, thanks a lot, guys, for hanging on to this live session and listening to the story. In future, if you need any more stories like from my expeditions or my treks that have happened, I would love to share live stories with you all. You all can share it in your comment below, or you can DM me. So here I am signing off, and hope you all enjoyed. Thanks for tuning in, and please share this video with as many people as possible, or who are interested in the field of mountaineering, and those who are going to pursue their courses in the near future. Share this video with them, share the link of the website with them, and give them the information, and let's make the journey as easy as possible, and let's give them the right guidance to pursue mountaineering in the right manner. Thank you, signing off, and see you also. Bye.